Live from Hazlet, New Jersey, you are listening to the Route 36 Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Route 36 Podcast. My name is Nick, and I'm your host today and for the foreseeable future. And whatever drove you to hit that download button, I want to thank you personally. This is a podcast about Monmouth County. Originally, I was going to just have it focus on Hazlet, New Jersey, which is where I currently reside and where the Route 36 studio is. But I figured people downloading the Hazlet-centric podcast would essentially be downloading an empty WAV file each week. So not really much news going on in Hazlet, as you can imagine. It's not exactly New York City or Brooklyn, but I keep my finger close to the pulse of what is driving not only Hazlet and the surrounding areas, but Monmouth County as a whole. So I hope you stick with us. This is the first podcast of many, I assume. And, I have great aspirations for this podcast. Not only guest hosts, but, really bringing you some premium quality content for maybe your commute, maybe while you're driving in traffic on the Garden State during the summer, as we all know how bad that summer traffic can be. Or, maybe you're stuck on the turnpike after, the Lincoln Tunnel has its 8th accident in a month. So I appreciate you downloading this. Since it's the first episode, we're going to take it a bit easy today. I'm just going to give you a little short background on who I am, why I'm here, and, we'll run through the news. In terms of format for this podcast, I think I'll mostly be sharing kind of anecdotes and stories that happen to me around town, but also bring you some of the news that's going on. For Hazlet alone, right now we're actually in the news for a sergeant actually delivering a baby in the parking lot of, I believe, the police station. So Hazlet is in the news for the first time since, I think the last time we were in the news, it was, if you don't count that child molester or child rapist who was in the news a few weeks ago, the last time we were actually on, Channel 9 or something other than New Jersey-based television, it was due to like 100,000 dead fish washing up on shore. So Hazlet doesn't really get the press it deserves sometimes. And, here I am going to give our citizens a voice. Not only Hazlet, but Monmouth County. I want to stress that again. The surrounding areas, we're going to be looking at Keyport, New Jersey, Hazlet, New Jersey, Middletown, New Jersey, which a lot is going on. And, we'll also be touching Atlantic Highlands a bit, Red Bank. And, of course, if there's some bigger story that happens outside of Monmouth County or Route 36 or Route 35, I'm not going to discriminate. We'll talk about it. And, what I really want going forward is to, open up to questions. We're going to set up an email address. Probably in the next episode, I'll have more details on that as we build the website and get our domain name in order. So in short, I just want to thank everyone for hitting that download button. Thank you for coming along for the ride. And what do you say we get started with the first podcast? So for the first podcast episode, what I really want to do is kind of introduce myself. Why are you listening to me right now? And just to give you a little background on myself, I was born and raised in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And I love that area. It's if you've never been, Bay Ridge is really a lovely, lovely rural town. It's one of the more rural areas of Brooklyn. And I loved growing up there. Everything was in walking distance. You had shopping centers. You had, little mom and pop stores, really cool cafes. And over the past 30 years where I'd been living there, you really got to see the gentrification and the hipsters kind of moving in. So, now all of a sudden we have Chipotle's and Victoria's Secrets on our shopping strips, which were mostly mom and pops. But that really wasn't the reason I moved out of there. As a Brooklynite, and I think a lot of people that moved to New Jersey, especially Monmouth County, I think they originate from Brooklyn. And just growing up, you see kind of the school district in Brooklyn isn't the best for children, especially public school. And that was important to us in terms of looking for places to live. And also the pricing. We were pretty much priced out of Brooklyn. We were renting. Once I finally moved out of my parents' house, I was renting a little one-bedroom apartment for myself. I lived there for about 5 years. Then I moved in with my fiance. We stayed into a little starter home we were renting for about another 2 years. And then we realized we were paying pretty much our landlady's mortgage. And we said, why are we doing this? We might as well, pay the same amount of money and actually own something at the end of the day. So I think, as most Brooklynites do, we looked in Staten Island first. And a lot of people I know growing up in Brooklyn, they actually did that step. So it's usually Brooklyn, Staten Island, then eventually you realize Staten Island isn't for you, and you move 15 minutes over the outer bridge, and lo and behold, you're in New Jersey. So we skipped kind of the middle step. We moved straight to New Jersey, and we picked Hazlet, again, because of the school district, but also because it's only about 45 minutes to Bay Ridge, so my hometown and kind of where my wife and I used to hang out. So not too far away, and actually only about an hour away from Port Authority, which is where I work. So that's kind of my background. When I moved to Hazlet, especially coming from a trendy area in Brooklyn, it was kind of shell shock, to be honest. There was absolutely nothing to do, nothing going on. No sidewalks, which was a real really strange thing to get used to. I was used to just walking to the store if you needed milk, but here in New Jersey, I guess you do have to hop in your car. Maybe I took for granted that, everything is just a hop, skip, and a jump away. But, as I lived here, we've been here now 4 years. I've really grown to love the community, the sense of community, and also kind of just how it's so much more relaxed in terms of, everyone's so friendly out here. The first few weeks we were here, just going to like a Wendy's, people would say, okay, have a good day. And we were like, what do you want? Do you want a tip or something? But that's just, people outside of Brooklyn and outside of Manhattan actually are friendly. That was just something that we had to get used to. And we're glad we did. So that's kind of my backstory. I'm sure we'll get into that more in future episodes, especially if it's something you're interested and curious about. But we're going to keep this episode short, so I'm just going to go into some news that's going on, and some things around town that have been developing, which is pretty exciting. Well, the first thing in Hazlet, a lot of buzz was going on that we were supposed to be getting a German supermarket called Lidl or Lidl. And that was actually supposed to go up first week in summer. And here we are in September. And the Red Oak Diner, where the Lidl location is supposed to take over, is still vacant. Red Oak has moved to Airport Plaza. And, the old Red Oak location is still just a ghost town. So I wonder, with these projects, things always get delayed, but, there was so much hype about this German supermarket coming to Hazlet and being one of the first locations in North America that, I expected it to be open by now and, picking up some German sausage or what have you. So if anyone knows what's going on with that, drop me a comment on Twitter. I guess I don't have the Twitter set up yet, but I guess it will be something along the lines of Route 36 Podcast. So you can search that. Let me know if you know anything about this Lidl or Lidl supermarket. First of all, let me know if you know how to pronounce it. As I mentioned, the big story was this Hazlet police officer delivering a baby of a young couple. Big shout out goes to Sergeant Kevin Gehan? Sorry if I'm butchering the name, but, hats off to you. It's a great story. The gentleman went to training on how to deliver a baby in an emergency, I believe it was like 19 years ago. And the guy still got it. So congrats to the new family, the lucky family. They weren't able to get to a hospital in time. And luckily, the Hazlet Police Department stepped right up. So well done to all. Let's see what else I wanted to cover here. Just going through my notes here. The big one is, Middletown, Route 35, actually, not Route 36. Middletown, big Route 35 developments. It is causing some controversy. There are some people that say it's going to block up Route 35 traffic for days, if you will. But personally, selfishly, I'm excited about these two stores opening up. One, of course, is Frutta, which is slowly but surely taking New Jersey over by storm. Several locations in Marlborough, I think Howell, Freehold as well. And a little up north, where is it? What's it called? Montclair. I've been to the Marlborough and Montclair location. And if you're not familiar with Frutta, this is kind of the latest craze is getting these acai bowls. That purple fruit on the bottom in a bowl. You throw a bunch of other fruit on top of it. Maybe throw a little Nutella, a little peanut butter, and then you can charge someone like $15 for it, and people will pay for it, because it is pretty tasty. But I've been really going through a smoothie kick this summer. Getting my mango on, getting my peanut butter banana shake on, and Frutta makes a mean one, I assure you. So looking forward to that. They should be opening. I think they're interviewing now, and they're looking to do their grand opening very soon. So I'm excited about that. And then the other news in Middletown, Route 35, is a little place called First Cup Coffee is supposed to be opening, not too far away from the Target. And First Cup Coffee, the story behind those guys is they opened a location in Atlantic Highlands, where I frequently visit, and they're already expanding. They opened the location at Atlantic Highlands on First Street, First Avenue, whatever it is, maybe a year and a half ago, and they're already ready to expand to Middletown. So nice owners there. Briefly chatted with them during their grand opening in the Highlands, and we look forward to them opening up in Middletown. There's not much variety when it comes to coffee. I mean, you either get your Starbucks on, you get your Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru on, or I guess if you want to support mom and pop, you go to Keyport for Espresso Joe's. So I think any new coffee shop, obviously Rook, I guess I should have mentioned, but they kind of have a monopoly on the craft coffee scene. So any new coffee shop, I'm happy to see, especially in our neighborhood. Now, if we can only get something useful in Airport Plaza in Hazlet, that would really be super. But that's another story for another podcast, I think. So that's kind of all the news I had for you today. If you are making that commute to Manhattan on the Academy bus, God bless. Good luck to you, because I'm doing the same, and this summer has been awful. I mean, it's been hour and a half on a good day. And, I leave the office at 5 p.m., and sometimes I don't get home till 7:30, 7:40. So we're looking at 2 hours and 45-minute commute. But, this is what we wanted, right? These are the sacrifices you make to live in the great county that is Monmouth. So, once again, thanks for hitting that download button. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, because we're going to be having a lot of content coming your way. And, as always, I guess for the first time, this has been Nick from Route 36 Podcast, signing off. You take care.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Route 36 Podcast.